Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kinberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. In some crime novels, the setting adds a great deal to the story. It can even become, though it sounds trite, a character in itself, especially if the setting is exotic. Let's take a look at a novel like that today and turn the spotlight on A.M. Stuart's Singapore Sapphire. It's 1910 in Singapore. Harriet Gordon and her brother, Reverend Julian Edwards, run a school for boys. The school is always in need of cash, and Harriet and Julian are not wealthy. So Harriet has offered her services locally as a stenographer or typist. She's hired by Sir Oswald Newbold, who wants her to type his memoirs. She has one session with Newbold, but when she comes back later that day to retrieve her typewriter, she finds that both Newbold and his servant had been murdered. The police, in the form of Inspector Robert Curran, begin their investigation. Naturally, Harriet is a person of interest since she discovered the body, but it's not long before she's cleared. She is involved in the case, though, as a witness, so she takes an interest in it. Not long after the police begin their work, a local hotel employee, Hans Vischer, goes missing. Now the police have two cases to contend with. Curran suspects the cases might be related, but there's no real evidence of that. Curran and Harriet realize that they can help one another, so they begin to work together. From Curran's perspective, Harriet can possibly get witnesses to be more forthcoming than they would be otherwise. For Harriet's part, she is well aware that she's a civilian and not accustomed to cases of murder. She depends on the police and assists Curran as much as she can. Gradually, as the case layers are peeled back, she and Curran find that the death and disappearance are related to some larger and more dangerous things that are happening in Singapore. And the closer they get to the truth, the more dangerous things get. So what are the elements in this story? What holds it together? The story is told in third-person past tense from the perspectives of Robert Curran and Harriet Gordon, so we learn about them. Curran comes from a modest background, so he doesn't mix in the highest circles. His partner is a non-European, so that also excludes him from certain circles. He's a non-judgmental person, perhaps for those reasons, because of his background. He's hardworking and compassionate in his way, but he's not afraid to do his job assertively when he needs to. Harriet is a widow who lost her husband and son to typhoid. She doesn't wallow in sadness, but she does grieve, and she's trying to make a new space for herself in Singapore. She's also a suffragette at a time when that's not entirely popular, and in fact, she's even got a criminal past because of it. She's a strong, independent character, although it's fair to say she's a person of her time in some ways. The two respect each other and work well together, and in case you're wondering, no, they don't fall in love. This is not a romance in the background sort of a story. The story takes place in 1910, and the cultural setting reflects this. There are clear class-based lines and certain prejudices that we would find objectionable today. There's also a distinctive physical setting, as I said earlier. It's exotic. It's Singapore. Singapore has for many centuries been a place of the meeting of cultures, and that's depicted in the novel. The story includes Europeans, Malaysians, Chinese people, Burmese people, and others. The crimes themselves are solved with police work and with information that Harriet Gordon finds out. The solution is not a happy one. And it doesn't mean there's a happy ending for everyone. But readers who like the major plot questions answered will be pleased to know that they are here. Singapore Sapphire explores Singapore at the beginning of the 20th century. It features a complex web of crime that leads to murder and features two sleuths who have a strong sense of justice and a great deal of perseverance. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kinberg. Thanks for watching.